know that Tom is over at a dojo down the street. What he did? See, like, no. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, again, what happens with that is they see that Joe is over there at another dojo training. He's doing what you want. He's doing good, but he's doing everything you're asking to him, but it's still not his full potential because part of that potential is going somewhere else.
Energy splitting,
The
yeah.
energy is splitting. Okay. Um, I've seen it. I've done it myself with certain things in my life. Absolutely. But, you know,
I think also leading back with the point Aaron was bringing out is that, you know, if you're going to go and be with that sensei, you got to really give everything that you have to them. Give them, I think the word was give them the opportunity to see what they're about. And I was trying to put myself in a position of the student of why I would go. Go ahead, Steve. You got something, buddy?
real quick on that. What happens is the student sees Joe doing it, and then all of a sudden, Kathy wants to start doing it. Then Kathy wants to do it. Then Rick wants to start doing the same thing because they start talking about this great sensei who's doing a little different style. He's a good guy. You got to do it. It's fun. We do, you know, upside down rolls. It'll be fun for you guys. Join us. And then you find out about it. You've got to have certain, you know, rolls in your own dojo, unless it really doesn't bother you. But like I said, that's one of the things that I wouldn't dig.
Yeah, when I noticed the people's comments, it was always coming back from, well, you know, what's that sensei think he's doing? You know, telling me what to do on my own time. That kind of messing. What I do is what I do. But at the same time, when you're coming into that world, and I know each of you, you give 100% to that student. You know, I know for my students, when I look at them, I'm looking at end product. You know,
Yeah,
surpassing anything I can do. Go ahead, buddy.
sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you
no,
there.
go ahead.
But part of it's the nature of the, you know, Japanese martial arts, the do, Aikido, the do, you know, accepting your teacher, walking a path. Um, you know, there's the physical side of the art, but then there's also you know, philosophical or spiritual. Different teachers mix those things up to different ratios, you know.
Mhm.
But there's all this other stuff in the mix in the art, and you know, one of the beautiful things with the Aikido is the Japanese traditions and to transmit in using those Japanese traditions. You know, you can argue about efficiencies in different ways and things like that, but there's a beauty in the art and in these traditions that you know is there, that's beyond just the you know the physical art.
Right, right.
And so that's a huge part of what we're looking at. So yes, it could be misconstrued in some ways, and yes, there are teachers that would be completely egocentric in that regard,
Mhm.
and the students should be able to see that. Hopefully they can see that and see through that. That no, we don't want that. That we don't want that. But it sounds, to question some of the things, it sounds like there's you know, the student needs to find the right teacher and the right art as well. The right teacher and the right art. It may not be Aikido.
Right.
Hopefully it is, but it could very well be that that student's not the right fit.
Right, right. Like
So now that student needs to find a teacher that they can dedicate themselves to.
right.
And then I think now the discussion changes a little bit.
Mhm.
My two.
Uh, on that topic about the tradition and everything, another part that came up, and it made me remember back when I was working my way up to the ranks, is that normally, if you're going to go to another sensei's dojo, you usually ask permission from your sensei.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the people were very shocked. I was reading some of the comments that, why in the world would you have to go and do that? But it is a very formal essence. And even if that other sensei, when you get there, and I remember seeing a lot of people do this. I remember Steve coming to the dojo and would ask permission to come on the mat. You know, I'm here, sensei. And he knew Steve really well, but there was always that formality, that beautiful tradition of more than just, you know, Ikkyo and everything there. And I still, maybe you hit it, Aaron, the best, that why would a student do that? could be that they're still searching, and whatever the sensei might be great, but it might not be the proper mix. And when I first wrestled with this, I said, I don't really care. But then when I started putting my notes down, I realized, yeah, I care a lot. I'm very strict in the area that I want to make sure that my student who's learning is able to pass that knowledge on to the new students, right? So they become very good instructors. But if they start doing other things, problematic.
Yeah.
And I know we keep jumping into this one, so let's hop into it. Other arts, going in to other arts. And let's start with, we'll go reverse, higher ranking. And all of a sudden, they start, oh, let me interject real quick because it was Aikido. I remember for me personally, I was with my sensei for like 17 years and I didn't train under anybody else. All I knew was him. And I didn't go, other than in our organization, going to seminars and everything. But there was a time, the last 3 years, maybe 4 years, that I start studying out there and I'd see, and I liked what I saw. And I start trying to do that inside my the dojo. And the effect of that was I drove my sensei crazy because my Aikido went because I was in that transformation stage. So that was probably maybe, as Aaron was saying, maybe that was the beginning of the branching out time. So yeah, I just want to throw that in there. So let's go ahead. Let's start with Aaron this time. They're ready to go out and start training in another art.
Yeah, I think, I just think that's just a natural thing with, some folks can stay with a single art, but, others, they want to experience more. And, it's back to the honesty that no single art covers everything in depth. So there are specialties, there's different flavors, there's different things. You have ground, all the different Japanese arts that we have with the binding and is it Kyoto with the air with the bows and arrows and things of that nature. There's all these specialties, and no single art can cover them all. However, a student of martial arts is more than likely going to be interested at some point in realizing, or when they do discover that, okay, my primary art maybe doesn't handle everything perfectly, maybe I should start looking at this. Once you realize that you are your own guide through martial arts, you have to determine what you are going to do with yourself through your path, as you're on your path. And if you decide that you're going to take a thorough look at where you are and what your art's provided, and maybe there are other areas that could supplement and help fill in some of the blanks. That's a natural progression. So I think it would be difficult as a student, as a high level teacher, and to have a student that wants to explore and has that kind of questioning. I think that's an honest pursuit, and that should be honored as long as that student teacher relationship is honored, and all of that. I think that's just a natural thing, just my opinion.
How about you, Steve? What's your feeling, buddy?
Well, I think that if they want to study a different art, maybe at any level from Q lane to black belt, I don't have a problem with that. Okay, a different art. I've experienced students studying in a different art from Q rank to upper black belts in my dojo, studying different martial arts. The problem I had with a few of them were, I can't make it this Saturday, Sensei, I have a demo. Then it started getting more and more of their other dojo stuff.
Yeah.
So their commitment level started changing because they're doing another art. Now there were students that were doing another art and was never a problem, never interfered with my time on the mat with them. But that's a big problem when you start missing class because their demos, their judo demo, their whatever. So you got to draw the line, and where is your line? And that's an individual dojo show thing. But like for example, I was during my black belt time, I went to a lot of Krav Maga weapons seminars, gun basics, blah blah blah. It was great. It added to my Aikido. I took that and I put on a seminar for our Aikidoists that day. So it adds to Aikido, but I was taking something from something to bring it into my world and share it with our Aikido.
Yeah.
So if that person's doing that, which Sean, he studied, um, what's that Brazilian art? I'm blank.
Capoeira.
Capoeira, yeah. And he brought it to us, but he never took any time away from Aikido. He brought it to us. Him and his wife. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So it can be an added thing, but then it's an individual thing. Is he going to take the time away from my teaching?
Mm-hmm. I know this is a very happens a lot in my dojo, because where we train, we have all the different Japanese arts, and I get a lot of karate guys coming into Aikido, and most of them are always black belts. They'll come in and start training, and the biggest thing that I experience is kind of what you were alluding to, Steve, is somewhere along the way they start getting the pressure to test in their other art. And when that happens, their commitment or drops off very fast, and they they go in and they start getting really overloaded, even though they're a black belt and they have a good foundation. As a matter of fact, I have a student right now. He's pressured to take his Nidan, and this guy's hardcore martial artist. He'll come and train if he has a broken leg, broken arm, but I can see when he's on the mat, he'll be doing a technique and then the other art will come out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, he gets frustrated, right? So now he's frustrated at his art, the Aikido, and he's also frustrated because he can't get the other art going. So that dilemma pops up really a lot in the testing area. I have another student who's 6Q, and he's taking two other arts. One of the other art is the Aikido with me, which is related into the Aikido, but he's also taking karate. He's a very talented young man. And so I'm watching him, like, oh man, I don't know, what's happening. And at the moment, there's no issues. Matter of fact, he's excelling very good. But I think maybe that's, not the norm, everywhere.
Well,
both of you, I know. Go ahead.
Well, as teachers, it's like you don't, it's not really to control the student; it's to guide their learning and their progress, right? So you give that student everything you got, and if you can't give them any more, and somebody else can, then you send them on their way to really do the best for that student and give them all the best that you have, and to really look at that and look at their development and what they need to progress on their individual path. And some are walking or traveling a path much more quickly than others, and making progress in others, and all of that. But as teachers, it's to cultivate and grow and nurture somebody into the best that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, we're a small part as martial arts instructors, Aikido instructors, of somebody's overall progress, whether it's in the context of martial arts or not.
Right.
So we owe it to that student to do our best by them and to get them where they are trying to get to, I think.
Excellent. Well, what do you got, Steve?